CNN wanted insight into Diddy, and they wanted insight into the controversy, and so they decided to bring on Cameron. If you don't know Cameron, Cameron is a very well-known, legendary at this point rapper. He is also the co-host, excuse me, of It Is What It Is with Mace, a sports podcast that airs every single day on YouTube, Monday to Friday on YouTube at 8 a.m. And they brought Cameron out. Now, Cameron is thoughtful. Cameron is smart. Cameron is articulate. Cameron has the ability to do a great interview. Cameron also has a history of giving some interesting and I find highly entertaining interviews. Well, yesterday he appeared on Abby Phillip's show to talk about Diddy and what was going on. I just got to show it to you because there's no way to explain it without you seeing it. Here's what happened.
First, when you saw that video of Diddy, Cassie in that hotel, did you recognize that Sean Combs?
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video is egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that trafficking, minors, domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it. But
did you
as far as
recognize
everything
him?
I just said,
Did you recognize that kind of anger at all from your experiences?
I don't know like that. What do you mean? Do I be recognized? Did I recognize him? I seen him. What do you mean my experiences? I seen him and I thought it was.
Now, at this point, the interview seemed to be going left. She asked him, did you recognize the person on the video behaving that way? He seemed to take the question literally, like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me if I recognize him? I seen him, I didn't zoom in, etc. So I think he was taking it literally, but he also seemed irritated by the question itself. He seemed irritated by what he was being asked. And it wasn't clear to me on the first time watching it why he was being why he was irritated by the question, right? If you're there to talk about Diddy, seems fair game to ask that question, right? You saw the video, how'd you respond? He gave a great first answer, which was, I don't support anything on the video. But other than that, why? Now, at that moment, he said, what is you talking about? What do you mean? Now it's getting aggressive and it's intensifying, but it's not exactly clear why. But let's keep watching.
It was disgusting. I didn't do a zoom in to see if it was really him or nothing, but.
Right. Again, he seems to be answering the recognized question literally.
He admitted it was him, so yeah, it was him.
What did you think about the apology that he gave in that other video?
Ain't me for this. The apology ain't for me to decide, for Cassie. What I think about it don't matter. Ain't do nothing to me. Cassie need to ask Cassie if she accept the apology.
I think that's a solid answer, right? I mean, I think as a media representative, as a voice, as a critic, we have a right to hear Diddy's apology and offer an analysis of it. Many of us did. I did. Other people did. But Cameron also has a right to say, yo, it's not my business. It's between him and Cassie.
I told you how I feel. I said what I said.
I want to play a conversation that you had on your podcast.
Now, I'm not going to play this conversation, but what he did was he played a clip where they played a clip from his podcast where Mace basically said that he brought Cameron to Biggie and not to Diddy because he thought Biggie would treat. It was a clip that talked about how he didn't trust Diddy. Mace was saying, I didn't bring you as an artist, a young artist, to sign with Diddy because of how he treats his artists. I brought you to Mace. I brought you to Puff, right? And so she asked him to sort of explain that position, right? And here's where we go.
More about that. I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
Now, I don't know if you saw Abby's face right there. She looked to her right. She's like, where am I now? What just happened? He stopped, took a drink of Horsepower. Horsepower is a product that he sells. You can see it on his social media site. It's the idea is that it's to improve sexual performance. And he said, "Excuse me, I'm about to get some cheeks after this." He said, So in the middle of this interview, he said, "I'm about to get some cheeks after this." That part for me is too much. That part for me is too far. This is not because it's CNN, but because, and I'm not like, oh, you can't do this in front of white people. Oh, you can't do this. None of that. Every time we have a critique of Black behavior, it's not respectability politics. Sometimes it's a legitimate concern about Black people and how we engage and treat each other, because I actually care about how Black people treat each other. I don't care if no white people are watching. Telling somebody I'm about to go have sex after this interview, to me, is inappropriate. It puts Abby in an uncomfortable position. And I don't think she did anything to deserve. I don't think anybody deserves that kind of exchange, but she didn't do anything. There are some times where you come on a show and the person is aggressive. I mean, I've seen Cam on Bill O'Reilly where he put Bill O'Reilly in his place to an extent. He's like, you mad? You mad? You know, you see that meme, you mad? I'm good with that. I've seen Cameron on 60 Minutes where I was like, he made an interesting point about serial killer in 4B. Like, he's like, I'm not a snitch, right? But and I also don't mind people plugging their products, right? Horsepower, check it out. My show, Monday to Friday, check it out. I'm good with all of that. But saying I'm gonna get some cheeks after this, in his mind, maybe he was saying it to the audience, but he's speaking directly to this young woman. And by young, I mean she's our age, she's a little younger than me. But like, so to me, that is inappropriate.
I'm just going off what Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff. I wasn't. But my show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's called It Is What It Is. Y'all make sure y'all check it out. I mean, I might get some more information out of Mace from there. But for me to tell you how Puff act and all that, I don't know. I never was signed to him.
Yeah. What about the industry in general? I mean, so many people have pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him. Do you think that's the case?
Now, as a journalist, I can tell you, at this point, it looks to me that Abby is trying to move more carefully. She's like, I'm not getting any answers out of the questions that I'm asking. So let me ask questions. And the responses I'm getting would suggest that I'm asking things that are unreasonable, inappropriate, or outside of his scope of knowledge or his desire to share that knowledge, right? Like, did Puff move like this? You got to ask his people. What do you think about the apology? That's not for me. That's for Cassie, right? So in each case, as a journalist, you're watching this and you go, all right, let me ask a question that I can at least get a very simple answer to, so that the interview doesn't look like a failure. Because when you're doing this interview, you're uncomfortable as the interviewer too.
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint that y'all invited me to. Who booked me for this joint?
All right.
Wow, and I'll be
Cameron,
sitting around watching Diddy and all that. Yeah,
thanks.
Man, come on, man.
Thanks for
crazy,
joining
man.
us. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me. You enjoy.
So now I know that face well. Abby's like, what the F did I just get into? And Cameron's point is, this whole conversation is about Diddy. Why am I being asked so many questions about Diddy? So the first thought that I had was, oh, this must be a situation where they brought him for one thing and asked him another, because I've had that happen as well. Where, you know, I say I'm coming on to talk about this. You bring me and talk about that. I feel sandbagged. I feel like, you know, I got tricked. You know, if they say, hey, we want you to come in and talk about the music industry, hey, we want you to come in, we want you to talk about we want you to talk about whatever, right? We want you to talk about the general culture of hip hop, and then all of a sudden you get just a barrage of Diddy questions. I could understand the frustration. He said, yo, who's the talent agent for this? Who booked me for this? Et cetera, et cetera. Like, what's going on? So at that moment, I could see saying, look, I don't want to talk about Diddy. I'm out. Taking off the microphone, quitting, saying I don't want to do this. I get that. The horsepower thing, I'm getting some cheeks afterward, to me is inexcusable either way. But it gets more interesting. It gets more interesting because Cameron, the next morning, today, appeared on his own show, which again is Monday to Friday on YouTube. Make sure y'all check it out. I actually like the show a great deal. Here's what he said there.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that before we even get into the questions. Like, elephant in the room. You were on another show.
Yeah, I came. I didn't even go home last night because I went to the studio. I washed up though, so I'm good. I ain't gonna explain none of that. But yeah, man, you was gonna say something? Oh no, I seen your hand. Yeah, no, they invited me on the show to talk about what's going on with Diddy and all that, and then. My thing about it was, Mace, that is that they didn't invite me on to say about how successful our show is or the positive stuff we do in the community, how every day, 5 days a week, Mace talks to kids on a Zoom call. Mace doesn't even promote this. I'm going to promote this for Mace. Is that every day at 5 o'clock, it don't matter what's going on, what's happening, where he's at. It could be money involved. It could be a photo shoot. It could be whatever. He stops what he's doing to talk to kids around the world about being positive and doing what they believe in and so on and so forth. And to the point where, one day he was at my house and he told me, Cam, you can't make no noise. Don't come in. I'm not playing with you. Like, that's how serious, no, but seriously, that's how serious he takes what he does. And we do all these positive things. And you call me on CNN for the bullshit, I'm going to give you the bullshit. That's just what's going to happen. So, we got some free promo. I teased the Pink Horsepower. They tried to bring up when Mace bought me the Biggie instead of Puff. And I said, yeah, if you seen it, what you asking me about it for? Like, nigga, it was self-explanatory. So I got us some free promo. I didn't get the shout out to Dipset.
That's the gist of it, right? Like, it gets more complicated, right? Omega's saying basically what I'm saying. Initially, we heard or assumed, I did, that if you're that frustrated at them Diddy questions, it's because you got sandbagged. It's because you got baited and switched, that the person had you thinking that you were going to be talking about one thing, and in fact, you would be talking about the other. But according to him, our brother Cameron is saying, no. They brought me to talk about Diddy. And he makes an interesting point. Again, a lot of positive stuff going on. We got a great show. We're doing stuff in the community. Lots of positivity. Nobody calls me for the positivity. They only call me to talk negativity. They only call me to talk Diddy. That's not fair. He's right. Unfortunately, mainstream media, especially corporate media, does not want to highlight Black men. They don't want to highlight Black achievement. They don't want to highlight positive work in the community. They don't. They say if it bleeds, it leads, right? When somebody dies, we love to run that. Negativity runs. All that makes sense to me. But the fact of the matter is, he knew all of that before he walks into the studio. So if you know that before you walk into the studio, you could also just not walk in to the studio. You could just not walk into the studio. You could just decide that you don't want to do a network that only wants to ask negative stuff. But you can't get mad that they asking Diddy questions when they brought you on to ask Diddy questions. I don't think you can have it both ways. I think he's 100% right to say, you know what, this is some bullshit. They only brought me on here to talk about Diddy. I'm not doing that. But you can't just pop up on the joint and say, yeah, well, you know, I don't like these questions, but I'm still going to show up. Because it puts you embarrass Abby Phillips. You disrespected Abby Phillips. Telling Abby Phillips you want to go get some cheeks after this is so far beyond what's reasonable and fair. That sister did not deserve that. Now, if you decide to come on the show and say, look, I hate this platform. I don't agree with the way y'all lay things out. I don't like the way y'all do business. I don't like the fact that you didn't highlight any of the positive stuff we got going on, and you're only here to talk about negativity. You only talk about rap when it's negative. You only talk about rap when it's bad. If he said all that stuff, I still may not have the same approach, but I wouldn't disagree with him. I'd be like, you're not wrong. But there's just no defensible reason to talk to Abby Phillips like that. And again, or anybody, but especially a woman, especially a black woman, especially this sister trying to do a thing. And I could see the embarrassment, the humiliation on her face, the frustration, and maybe the anger on her face. It just doesn't add up. And as brothers, we have to be able to hold each other accountable for that. I love Cameron and Mace's show. I got a lot of respect for Cameron and Mace. I appreciate the work they're doing in the world. I appreciate their friendship. I've said that before. I appreciate their bond. They model something very positive and healthy for black men in their reconciliation. But this ain't cool, man. It's just not.